Everybody meet Blueberry. She's here to be with me in the video today. She's also called Blue mostly actually, or Berry or Blu-ray or whatever you want to call her really. She still moves around a lot. This is the first time she's ever in a video, so she's not used to sitting still like my previous vets in my previous videos. So this is she's here to distract you guys mostly. I wear tails. These little beautiful fluff butts over here. I wear these tails in public, I wear these tails to school, I wear these tails inside the house, I wear these tails to family gatherings. What are tails? Well, of course, that is the limb that us humans are missing. And usually the ones who do have tails are animals. And that's exactly what these are. These tails once belonged to an animal. In my case, specifically a fox. Why do I wear them? Well, mostly for expression. These tails right here are here to serve the purpose of a wolf tail. In my case, because I am a Therian and I identify as a wolf. Therefore, I like wearing these because they kind of fill in this limb that I am missing. It is both to wear to express myself as a wolf as well as simply for fun. It is simply part of my style. For Therians, it's quite normal to wear accessories that are relatable to what they identify as, and therefore tails are often seen in the community. These accessories are called gear, and in today's video I specifically wanted to talk about tails. There are really all kinds of tails, but they're mostly divided into two sections. Real tails from actual animals as well as faux fur tails. Not you though. Faux fur tails are often made of wool or yarn, or they are furry tails for example, so they have some foam inside. These right here are faux fur tails, so I do have some, however I don't often wear them. I do certainly prefer real fur tails. And just for the fun of it, I wanted to go over every single tail that I own, where I got them, how often I wear them, and what I generally think about them. But before I wanted to do that, I wanted to give you guys a very important warning. Something that basically everyone in the world, in my opinion, is supposed to know. If you're interested in buying a tail, if you're generally interested in tails or taxidermy for that matter, or not, even then I still think it is important for you guys to know this. Most of the tails that I possess are ethically sourced. That means that before these tails were ever sold to me, they were attached to a fox that had an amazing life with amazing space and that didn't die with any sort of pain whatsoever. About 80 to 90% of the tails sold on the internet are from cruel fur farms. Simply for your safety, I will not be viewing anything that is happening in cruel fur farms, but basically the worst that you can think of isn't even half of what is happening there. Animals are being skinned alive, they do not care for euthanization whatsoever, they die a horrible death, they live in extremely terrible conditions in very, very tiny cages, they are being transported stacks on top of each other in very, very small cages, and they are being tossed around. They do not care for broken bones, they do not care for wounds, they do not care for animals fighting with one another. It is incredibly horrible. Why is this happening? Well, that's because the animal laws in Asia simply aren't very well regulated. These kinds of farms are legal in Asia. It's very, very unfortunate. Therefore, I'm giving you guys a massive warning. If you're ever interested in buying a tail or any taxidermy whatsoever, anything related to animals, do not buy them off of AliExpress, Wish, Amazon, or eBay, or any other site that mostly has Asian shops. The websites I just named are Asian, and therefore almost all of the tails that are sold there are from Asian fur farms and therefore cruel. So please, please never look on these sites. I will, however, make a list down in the description below which contains shops and sites and areas where you can, however, get tails and taxidermy in general that are not from cruel fur farms. I will also post a list that contains red flags on how you may identify a tail being sold by a cruel fur farm. The reason why you do not want to buy from these cruel farms is, first of all, you're owning a tail that is from an abused fox, and second of all, you're financially supporting these cruel fur farms, which means that they can go on and continue doing what they are doing. These cruel fur farms are profiting off the ignorance of most of the customers. But now you have been informed, and it is incredibly important. Please do not be ignorant about it. Please do your research, and also please do not turn the blind eye on that. Now that is said, you may be wondering, where did the red go? Well, she is right over here. She knows where to find her warm spots. There you go. Yeah, you like hiding, huh? You like hiding. Okay, I'm going to describe every tail in order of when I bought them. Beginning with this one. This is the first tail that I have ever bought. This was in 2019, right after I came out as a Therian. Basically, I was gonna go to a Therian meetup in Belgium, and I really wanted a tail as well. Not necessarily to fit in, but mostly because I just wanted to go entirely as me, and I felt like a tail was gonna help me with that. As you can see, this tail has a very odd shape and also has a nick in it. Basically, what happened is it broke off. It used to be longer. It was most likely a double tail. It is an Arctic fox tail, and it is from Fur Masters on Etsy, also known as furtails.com. So it used to be a lot longer. I simply ripped it out because there was an immense tear in it. And also, as you can see, there's another nick in it that I already had sewn together at some point. You are going to fall off, sweetie. I simply no longer wear this tail simply because it's so incredibly broken. It doesn't look good on me anymore, and it's basically here just for furniture. It used to be even worse when it was longer as well, but now it kind of looks okay again, so I think I'm keeping it for just a little longer. The next tail that I have is immediate proof that even people who have done research can sometimes still make mistakes when it comes to buying tails from cruel fur farms. This tail is from a cruel fur farm. However, I'm not getting rid of it simply because I do want to kind of pay respect to the fox that unfortunately went through such harm. The red flags that have also been listed down in the description below that you can see in this tail is the fact that it's quite a short and thin tail compared to, for example, this one right here. I will just grab it for comparison. It's quite short, it's quite, it's quite thin. It's not very great. The biggest indicator that you see is this specific lobster clam. It's usually gold and it has no thumb hook and it is kind of bulky in a way. If your tail has a hook like this, there's a very big chance that it's from a cruel fur farm. The other reason why I can see that it's from a cruel fur farm is because it has most likely been bleached. You can tell that it is quite white. There are no irregularities in the colors and everything. I'm being kissed by my red. I love you too. This tail is actually from Etsy, which also proves that Etsy is not always a safe place. You still have to check where the shop is from. Turns out that this tail was actually from China, and I did not check this. So Etsy is generally a very safe place to buy tails, however you still have to check where the tail comes from. Please always do this. The next tail that I bought is a double tail made by Water Taxidermy. Water Taxidermy has actually sewn these two tails together themselves. I honestly think they did an amazing job with it because it barely looks like it is two tails. There's barely a nick in it, just like this one for example. This used to be my favorite tail for a very long time because it is just immense, and I actually kind of am a sucker for very long tails for some reason. The next tail that I bought is this one. I am not even sure if this is a foxtail actually. I suspect that it might be actually a coyote tail because it's so incredibly slim. I actually checked and it is from Fur Masters on Etsy. I believe these were kind of like the tails that were no longer sold and therefore were sold in more of groups, I really suspect that this is actually a black dyed coyote tail. It is dyed black nonetheless because no foxtail is ever this black. So if your tail has a very consistent color like this, it's most likely dyed, which is totally okay unless you really like natural colors. I never really wear this tail because as you can tell it's very small, and I was kind of disappointed when I bought it, to be honest, because I thought it would be a lot bigger. And if anything, I'd wear it on my bag, I think. I don't think I'd wear it on my side or on my butt at all. The next tail that I bought is this cross fox tail, also by Fur Masters or furtails.com. As you can tell, it is very broken. There's a lot of things going on over here, a lot of nicks in it, and whatever this is. I promise it wasn't broken when I bought it. It was actually one of my favorite tails for a very long time, but I used it so much that it eventually started tearing a lot. It used to be a lot longer as well because I had to take out pieces of leather so I could sew it together better or glue it or whatever I did. And yeah, I used to love this one a lot, but unfortunately it just doesn't look very great anymore. So this is more of a tail that I'd only wear if I was sure that I was gonna do something super active where the tail would likely get broken. The next tail that I bought is specifically a black dyed tail, and this was actually from a local seller. She had these tails, this one as well as two other white ones which are still somewhere in a bag in my basement or something, which I'm planning to sell at some point. Basically, she bought these tails for decoration in her home, but they ended up in a closet somewhere and they were never used ever again. No, that's the letter. You're not supposed to bite that, sweetie. I actually love this tail a lot because it is very big, very bold, and very black, and I like black. Very unfortunately, a little bit of the letter has been hardened because it got wet at some point, which is kind of a mistake of mine. However, it's not that bad, luckily. It is still usable. Even more so, it makes it a little more steady, which usually you cannot say from wet tails. So, and also still quite bendable, to be honest. It's mostly just this little part over here. I certainly wear this tail at times. It is very suitable for both the side as well as on the butt. It's very great for when you want your tail to kind of camouflage a little bit, because it's not very popping, not as popping as the brighter colors that I have. So it's pretty great. After a long period of time, I actually got this tail. This is by far my favorite tail ever, simply because of the beautiful color pattern. I identify as a black-faced wolf, meaning that as a younger wolf I have a black fur, and as a more older wolf I have a more silvery fur until it's like entirely silver. I just really relate to this color pattern that's going on. It is by far my favorite tail. This tail was actually bought by a dragonkin friend of mine who was at this kind of local medieval event going on. It was like a market, and they sold tails there. So he called me up saying like, yo, do you actually want a tail, because there are tails here? And I looked at this one through video chat and I was like, I need to have that one. So they bought it to me and I'm super happy with it. So glad they did it because it was just amazing. The next tail that I added to my collection is this one. By far this is like my second favorite tail. This one being my favorite and this one being my second favorite because, oh my, I love the shape of this tail. Again, I got this tail from Wild Taxidermy. It is not a double tail, it's just a single tail this time. However, what I love so much about this tail is the shape of it. It really ends in like a slimmer tip, and therefore it almost looks more like a wolf tail than it looks like a fox tail, in my opinion. Wearing this makes me feel so euphoric. It really feels like I am having a wolf tail. And then the last real tail that I wanted to show you guys is this one that was gifted to me by Wild Taxidermy. At the time I bought this tail, Wild Taxidermy shop had not fully opened yet, and therefore it took a while longer before it could actually arrive at my place. And there was also a couple of things going on. Therefore, to kind of express gratitude, Wild Taxidermy sent me this tail for free as well. I think it's very beautiful. As you can tell, there's a little bell on it as well, so you can hear that, as well as a little ribbon, so it's very cute in my opinion. But as you can tell, you know, it's cute and therefore also a little more feminine in my opinion, so it's not really my style. But I don't mind it, I still love owning it, but I have kind of gifted this one to my girlfriend. My girlfriend has also kind of wanted a tail for a while, and therefore this one is kind of a tail that belongs to her, but still is part of my collection, so to speak. Overall, I'm very thankful for the incredible customer service from Wild Taxidermy. Thank you for the free tail. I think it's amazing. So those were all of the real fur tails that I own, and now I have 2 faux fur tails left. The first faux fur tail that I ever made myself is one you may recognize from my tailcraft video, how to make a tail from wool or yarn or whatever. The reason why I wear these specific colors is because I also actually identify as a betta fish. As you can tell, these are pretty much the color that I feel like I have as a betta fish. I honestly don't like this tail that much. It was the first time I ever made a tail. It's quite chaotic in my opinion, and I don't really like the colors as well, so I never really wear this tail. I still hang it on my wall, so I do like it as gear in that way, but I don't really like to wear it as gear as like an accessory. The second faux fur tail that I have is this one. This one is kind of better than the other one because, as you can tell, the color gradient is just very beautifully done in my opinion. It is also done with better materials, so it just looks a lot more furry. However, I'm just still not very fond of faux fur tails in general. I think it looks very fake. I usually only wear this if it's specifically for my betta fish stereotype, if there's like a reason for it. But even then, it usually goes on my side as well. Never really goes on my butt because, you know, I just don't really like faux fur tails. I really hope you guys like these tails as well as the first time that Blue has ever been in a video. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please leave a like down below or maybe comment down below. Or if you have any critique, you can also comment down below, of course. And if you really like my videos and want to see more in the future, perhaps consider to subscribe. And I will be seeing you guys in my Therian territory in the next video. Bye!